I make a motion to go into executive session for interviews.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revlard?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to return to regular meeting.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yep.
Revlard?
Yes.
Please rise and salute the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Emergency exits are behind the town clerk and also the door you came in. Roll, please.
Supervisor Perotti?
Here.
Councilpersons Doyle? Here. Gutierrez?
Here.
Blackman?
Here.
Revlard?
Yes. Here.
And tonight we're going to have a presentation on the Drinking Water Source Protection Program, DWS P2 by DEC. You would introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Keith Estes. I'm with DEC, and this is my colleague Grant Jang. He will also be co-presenting. I'll do a couple slides, and then I'll pass it off to him, and then I'll finish out with myself. But thank you guys so much for taking the time to learn about the Drinking Water Source Protection Program. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, but Virginia did great, or Victoria did great. Yeah, we're just here to kind of talk about how it may be beneficial for the town of Amenia. But before we jump into the program, we'd like to briefly introduce the concept of source water protection and the importance of protecting it. And Mike, we're good to... Yeah, so what is source water? Source water is where your drinking water comes from. In the case of Amenia, source water refers to the groundwater that your 6 wells pull from. Source water is, your water provider pulls the water, cleans it, and delivers it straight to your home. So why do we protect it? We protect source water to reduce the risk of contamination. And the quality and safety of our drinking water is impacted on how we use the land around it. So potential contaminants can come from sources like solid waste management facilities, agriculture activities, transportation, and even residential areas. So communities can take action to protect their drinking source water by doing actions like conserving land, developing zoning, educating the community, and even restoring vegetative buffers. And one of the questions we just wanted to pose to you guys is, I've heard from Marco that you guys are doing some, interesting stuff with, looking at a new potential spot for your developing your wells. But what other source water protection actions has the community kind of undertaken previously or currently right now? That was just a question.
What have we done for?
Yeah, source water protection.
Could you go up to the...
Oh yeah, sorry.
Currently, we did an assessment several years ago with New York Rural Water, and they did an assessment of the wells that we currently have and gave us suggestions for source water protection. The other thing that we do for source water protection is obviously limiting who has access to things, materials, distribution system, and the particulars of the water supply. Annual testing, and then reporting any unusual activities that we would come across that would somehow cause damage to the water supply. So, and we do, of course, our annual or scheduled sampling plans with the Department of Health in the report. We do, for the DEC, we do annual water withdrawal reports, and so they have a history of that. And that's pretty much all I can think of right now.
That's great. Thank you so much.
I guess the other thing that may be related is that we're trying to develop a wastewater system in the town. It doesn't have one now, and we know there have been problems in a lot of places with septic systems that have failed, so that might also count towards what we're trying to do.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's perfect. like I said, one of the potential sources are from residential sources like septic systems. So we're good to go. Yeah, so the big question is what is, DWSP2? So the Drinking Water Source Protection Program, also known as DWSP2, is a locally led, state-supported program that empowers municipalities to take action to improve and protect their public water sources and the surrounding environment. So it's designed to build off those actions that Marco had just relayed and kind of build it into a plan and implement it as well. So the program is completely voluntary, and it provides municipalities like Amenia free technical assistance to develop and implement community-specific drinking source water protection plans. And now I'm going to pass it off to my colleague Grant to go over what to expect from DWSP2.
Good evening. My name is Grant. I'm with the New York State Department of Health, and I work as what we call a technical assistance provider as a part of the Drinking Water Source Protection Program. So what to expect from the DWSP2 program? Well, you get free technical assistance, possibly from myself, and that includes taking a look at existing data to look at where the water comes from, the chemical properties of the aquifer, the chemical properties of the water system, and then risk assessments, and then just having the discussion with the town as well as the operator regarding potential risks. Flexible scheduling, we recognize that you folks have a lot going on. The meeting doesn't run itself. And so we're willing to accommodate your time schedule, and again, this is a free service, right? So we're not going to be hounding after you for deadlines, although obviously, continuing conversations are good. We will be doing mapping of the drinking water source as well as the area surrounding it. And I believe this has already been done by Steve Winkley from New York Rural Water. So we can definitely look at that and see if there's anything that could be improved upon. And then a list of the potential sources of contamination in the area, and as Keith mentioned, pulling off of information regarding if there's any septic systems or sewer discharges perhaps, or landfills, things of that nature. And then a list of actionable source protection strategies, so that the power to protect your source water is within you folks' hands. And then importantly, helping identify funding sources to pursue projects to improve the source water, because that is a question that comes up a lot, is how do we pay for X, Y, and Z? And we recognize that particularly smaller municipalities, it's more challenging to get funding. So next slide, please. So who is this program for? Well, we are working with municipalities and water systems of all sizes. Amenia would be a smaller water system, but in Dutchess County, we are also working with the town of Red Hook, as well as with the city and town of Poughkeepsie, for instance. We work with rural and urban communities, and it's also for public water supplies that don't have updated maps, and also for municipalities with varying sources. In your case, you folks have groundwater, and only groundwater, and yeah. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned before, I'm a technical assistance provider with the New York State Department of Health on this endeavor. So, our duties include coordinating the stakeholder group. So, getting folks together for a meeting, and again, recognizing that everybody has other demands on their time, flexible scheduling, and guiding the development of the plan in accordance with the framework that was set up in a multi-state agency collaborative effort. Interpreting the data and helping to better explain things to folks that may not necessarily have a background in this field. Developing maps, and then the goal of these maps is to make them accessible and usable, because we want these plans to be a usable and living document, and not necessarily something that's done and stuck on a shelf. And then following that, and the approval of the stakeholders, identifying strategies and actions that can be done, that are feasibly done with you folks as resources, and and needs, and identifying sources of funding to see those actions become reality. And then there will also be efforts to help implement the projects after the plan development itself is done. Next slide, please. And then what to expect from the plan process is, well, we first work with you folks to prepare the plan, and then it's an ongoing discussion to develop it, and then there are, measures for implementation as well as for progression to check, to help ensure that the actions identified are being followed up on and not necessarily forgotten about. And then next slide. So as a part of the plan preparation process, next slide please. First thing is completing an overview of the water system itself. So looking at things like how many people does the water system serve, what is its current operation status, right? And things of that nature. And next slide. And then as for the plan development itself, next slide please. So we would work to develop maps based on the best available information, and that is an example of a map that has been made, and then obviously, it'll be adapted to you folks' water system and you folks' needs. And just make sure, yep. So formulating a visions and goals statement. So determining, deciding upon a vision for the community and the water system, and where perhaps you would like your water system to go and your municipality to go, because having that source of clean, reliable water supply is hugely important for economic development. For instance, inventorying potential sources of contamination, completing the maps, identifying protection methods, and then working with you folks to be flexible and develop a implementation timeline, and then the finalizing process. And then I realized that I'm supposed to ask you to go through these one by one, as I said. So, stakeholder group. Identifying parties that are provide relevant expertise in the planning process. So, folks from the town board, for instance, and your operator, Marco. And then, any citizen groups or involved citizens as well. Next slide. Yeah, so formulating the visions and goals, helping to inspire community pride, perhaps, in the water system. Next slide. And then an inventory of the potential threats. Next slide. Maps. Next. Identifying protection methods. Yeah, sorry about that. And then the implementation timeline. And next, the finalizing. So I think we'll pass it back to Keith.
Thanks, Grant. And then we'll go ahead and move forward, Mike. 2 slides. Yeah, so the next kind of component of the DWSB2 process is implementation, and it's really the backbone of this entire program. I mean, we don't want these plans to just sit on the shelf. We want them to get implemented to benefit your guys' municipality. So within implementation, DWSB2 takes communities beyond the planning process and into implementation, and your plan management team, which is developed at the when you finalize your plan report, with limited assistance from a technical assistance provider, will utilize the identified steps, the identified cost analysis, and the identified potential funding sources to implement all of the protection and management methods that Grant highlighted previously. So what is a plan management team? The plan management team is just really the team that will champion implementation within your municipality and will lead the program going forward. It's typically a subset of that stakeholder group that Grant had mentioned previously. And it should be designed to really work together to implement the program, as we all know that many hands make light work. Thanks. You already changed this slide. Great job. So to help guide the plan management team during the plan development process, the stakeholder group and the technical assistance provider will lay out some project profiles for each potential protection and management method. And this is a good example of what that may look like and what it would typically include. So this is what a project profile from a completed plan that we have in central New York, where the municipality really focused on potential contaminants entering the critical area from agricultural activities. And so with that, the free technical assistance provider laid out some actions, including vegetative buffers, increasing cover crops, and acquiring easements as some of the potential actions that the municipality could entertain. And included in that, as you can see, there's some potential funding sources that fit each of those protection and management methods. So you guys don't have to, reinvent the wheel when it comes to wanting to implement these things. There are, many programs available where that funding is acquirable for your municipality, and we want to point you in the right direction. Not included on the slide, but what is included in the plan is a step-by-step process for each protection and management method where the municipality can follow and the plan management team can follow to actually implement these things. So whether it's compiling data and information to actually apply to these, to finding out the project partner who you need to reach out to for it, say it be the Soil and Water Conservation District. So we're good to move along. So the final phase, or the final component of the DWSB2 project or program, as Grant mentioned, is the progression of the plan. And really, in addition to implementation, the plan management team will monitor outcomes of those implementation actions, update the stakeholder group. So if somebody is on the stakeholder group but not on the plan management team, they might want to be included on what's going on with the project now that it's in its implementation phase. And then in addition to that is updating the plan. So we wanted to highlight a couple examples of municipalities that have been through the program. And I forgot to mention earlier, but we are working with 64 municipalities currently, and so these are just 3 examples of municipalities that have worked with us. So the town of Holland in western New York, they completed their DWSB2 plan and got it state accepted in October of 2022. And they really felt that once they received state acceptance of their plan, that the program allowed them to receive the necessary data to increase protections on their wellhead protection area, and gave them the actionable steps and funding sources that they needed to actually implement their plans and accomplish the goals that they set out from the beginning. And now they are moving forward on implementing these methods. Next slide. So the city of Ithaca, they completed their DWSB2 plan and received state acceptance in September of 2022, and they were actually our first municipality to receive state acceptance and go through the review process. And before even participating in the program, Ithaca, they wanted to create a watershed protection plan. They had this idea set out that they wanted to create a watershed protection plan for 6 Mile Creek, which is their source of drinking water. And it turned out that participation in DWSB2 was a win-win because we provided the free technical assistance for them to do just that. And I think that's very similar to what Marco explained to us outside, is that you guys have some plans in place of what to do next, and your water system potentially has some room for looking at what can impact it and how to protect it. And I think it's a win-win for all involved if we have the free technical assistance available. So Ithaca representatives were really proud that once they received their state acceptance on their plan, they were able to move forward a formal adoption process by their city officials. And this allowed them to have a source water protection plan that they could better use for city planning and other municipal projects, so that they could continue to protect their source of drinking water. Next slide. So, and then finally is the village of Ossining. And this is a, a smaller village down in the Hudson Valley. And they received state acceptance on their DWSB2 plan in November of 2022. And throughout the DWSB2 process, the municipality was pretty excited to the extent to which they were allowed to kind of engage with neighboring municipalities and other agencies, because it really gave them the opportunity to understand and access the data and information they needed to continue to protect their source of drinking water. Good to go. And so to close out, our vision for this program is really to engage stakeholders so that municipalities across New York State are invested in protecting their drinking source water. And from this, these communities can increase community confidence in their drinking water. They can enhance environmental protection. They can avoid preventable treatment costs for their drinking water, and they can also strengthen relationships to just foster collaboration on projects that are even outside the scope of DWSB2, because there's those built connections, like we mentioned, with the village of Ossining. And by participating in DWSB2, a community-specific drinking water source protection plan could really help the town of Amenia identify and implement source water protection methods that prevent contamination and reduce the likelihood of other water quality impacts. We encourage you to take advantage of the free technical assistance that we provide and join the other 64 municipalities to protect your source of public drinking water. But thank you all for joining us today. We know you are all really busy and wear multiple hats daily, but the benefits of implementing this program are community-wide and long-lasting. So thank you so much.
How does the application process work, and how long does this process typically take?
Yeah, great questions.
Well, I completed the application.
Oh, you did?
Oh, you already did it.
Yeah. I got an email on this, and I just read the email and everything that they offered. And then I, saw it was free technical assistance, and it was exactly what we're doing now. So I completed the application.
Okay. Yeah, did you see that, Kristen? So it might have been the interest form.
Yeah, it's probably just the interest form that you got, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, because we had reached out after
the interest form. Yeah, I completed that, and that's how you got here.
Association of Towns, yes. So the application is another document, but it's very brief, a couple pages of, just collecting some more information related to your public water supply and some of the reasons that you want to kind of protect it. We look at the application, we determine if you're a good fit for the program, and then we move forward and assign you a free technical assistance provider. You begin the process, and typically we have seen that go from, as Grant said, it's on your guys' schedule, so however quick or long you want it to take, depending on how it works with your guys' schedules. But typically it's about 12 to 18 months of planning. We have seen that time frame shrinking a bit, but it's really at your guys' behest. And then implementation is after that, after the plan development process is finished.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Under implementation, you had an example, trees for tribs. Is that tributes for water sources?
Yeah, so Trees for Tribs is a DEC program that installs vegetative buffers along tributaries of rivers. So.
If I could just add regarding the time commitment, we've been, as Keith said, about 12 to 18 months, and then, generally we try to have monthly meetings, maybe bi-monthly meetings, depending on you folks' availability. An hour, 2 hours a month, chatting and going over things, and then getting feedback from the stakeholder group about what's been done and what's been going on, and where folks would like the project to go. So that is an idea of the time commitments. And again, it's flexible, right? Because especially as budget season comes, you've got other things to worry about.
Is the scope limited to the public drinking water source, or is it? I mean, I'd say roughly. Marco would probably know exactly, but I'd say roughly less than 10% of our residents are on our public drinking water source,
Yeah, I
but
believe it serves 1,000 people. I believe what your population is about 3,800, correct?
4,000.
4,000,
think
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yes, the program is generally tailored towards the public water system itself, because that is where, you know, there's jurisdiction. But the protective measures in place, right, can also benefit other private wells that are in the area. You know, any private wells that may be within the protected areas, and also, you know, it's a similar idea that applies to private wells, right? You know, it's a similar idea, just a larger scale, or a difference of scale between the private wells and public wells. And one of the municipalities that we're working with has a similar situation where only a subset of the municipality is on the public water system, and you know, the rest of the residents are on private wells. But you know, there's benefits to be had from proactive zoning and proactive measures for even private well users.
Did you have a question, Bill?
Do you test the water?
Could you go up to the microphone, please, Bill?
Sorry, I'm Bill Flood. I'm on the water committee. Do you test water, like the streams, for contamination?
So typically, we use established monitoring programs and established data sources for, you know, for testing, but that can be one of the protection methods that are identified, is to expand on those monitoring and expand on those treatment or testing practices, basically.
But you have ways of finding the contamination that's there now?
So I guess to clarify, is there a specific thing that you're concerned about currently?
Yes.
It would be easier if you came up.
Yes. We're doing a sewer system as well, so we need to test the water.
Yes.
So we have existing studies that have been done, the stream waters are contaminated, so we need to upgrade those tests.
Yes. So I guess for clarification on our end, right, is that the water system is currently doing monitoring for
Are we?
yeah. So every public water system, unlike private wells,
After it's tested, after it's treated, not before it's treated. Yes, we do both.
yeah, some things.
Treated, untreated, treated, and distribution. You have those reports? It's part of the sampling plan.
Yeah, so every public water system in the nation has to go through a rigorous set of sampling, both even before you can turn on the water source for distribution, but that sampling involves both sampling of the raw water as well as sampling of the treated water, and that includes, you know, a variety of fun.
Is the water contaminated? None of it going to our distribution system? No.
Yeah, and so you folks have a groundwater system, so it's pulling from, I believe, the Stockbridge marble. It's a carbonate, so like limestone-ish sort of stuff, and then pulling from fractures within that rock. So just because there's water in, or sorry, there's septic effluent in the streams does not necessarily mean it's making its way into the aquifer, because you folks are pulling from, you know, a couple hundred feet below the surface as opposed to straight from a creek. But there is sampling data available, and that, yeah.
So the next step would be for us to fill out the application?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I just follow up?
Yeah, of course.
So the water supply is sampled, like was mentioned, raw, treated, distribution. There's sampling plans that are set every year. We follow those regulations. We have 0 violations of water quality issues. We've never had water quality issues here. We have hits of compounds or analytes that are tested. They are below the MCLs. That's the maximum contaminant levels or action levels. So we do not have any contamination in our water currently, according to New York State regulations.
The last thing I do want to mention is I know that you guys are looking at potentially, expanding to a different set of wells. And so typically in our program, we do want public water supplies that, have an idea of mind of where they're drawing their water from, so then we can build those protection plans around that. So once you kind of set those wells in place, then we can start from scratch and build those protection plans so your new wells are, getting that protection they need, and any city planning or municipal projects around those new wells will be protected and have these protections in place.
Where are the new wells?
That's not for me.
You'll hear that, and then
Yeah, sorry to jump the
Marco
gun
will
on
talk
that,
to you
but-
about that in the meeting.
Apologies for jumping the gun, but I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Really appreciate the
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
presentation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I got a email about their program, so I sent the letter of interest, because I thought it certainly fits the bill for what we're looking to do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Public comment?
Donnie, that's you. Donnie.
Oh, thank you. Apologies.
Don Cummings, Watch Sake. I'm sure you all know down there in the hamlet there's the little square park there. We took it upon ourselves last summer to do a little bit of work, put a new flag up and put some flowers around it. And in the fall, we did some decorations. The highway crew came and took down the trees that were gone. The stumps are there now, so I talked to the highway superintendent, and she said I had to come to a board meeting to see what the next step is. So this is what I'm here for, just to see the progress, see what we're going to do. Because I've been hearing different scenarios of what's going on or what's going to be presented down there, so I just want to hear from the town
Well,
board.
we're grinding the stumps, for one thing.
Yeah, well, no, grind them, get rid of them, but you're going to replace it with another trees or something?
So the Enhancement Committee has traditionally been involved in maintaining that raised park across from the Lantern Inn.
Who was that?
The Enhancement Committee.
There was no one there last year. That's
So
we took it upon
back in
ourselves.
2007, we planted the Christmas tree
Correct.
based on Herb Eschbach's recommendation that a black forest spruce would be appropriate for that site. It grew because conifers grow tall, so it would soon outgrow our ability to put Christmas lights on it. So he chose a slow-growing tree, at the time was disease-resistant. It then died back quite considerably because of an infestation, and we had Stephanie Radin from the Cornell Cooperative Extension come and take a look at it, and she recommended both the maple and the spruce needed to be, there was no way to reverse the damage that had been done. So she recommended, she said no spruce like herb. Stephanie said that there's no real spruce that they'll all grow 40 feet tall. There's no small spruce that we can, or a small Christmas tree that we can put there that will stay that small. So in the process, she gave some recommendations for an alternative idea. But in talking with the other owners who have put quite a bit of money into the businesses there on Main Street, there is a concern that the layout of the parking isn't ideal as it is, and that maybe a whole rethink of that parking area would be appropriate. So Matthew Manauer has put a lot of effort into restoring the Wasatch Commons barn, and Jeff Barnett Whimsy has put a lot of effort into the Lantern, and so they were going to, with the skills of either Leo or Matthew is very excited to draw up a plan that would do a long-term plan that may or may not include the raised park area. So maybe relocating some of the dumpsters, the porta-stand, to make the tree go into a place that would be more appropriate and could grow the 40 feet tall that it will eventually want to, is what we are now considering. And I think the Enhancement Committee will be meeting on Wednesday to discuss some ideas and to consider what the landowner, the nearby business owners have in mind for that spot. And then it's ultimately up to the town board, I think, as to what we want to do.
And one of the...
Is that a historical piece of property down there? I mean, it's been there forever. So
You're talking about the planter?
Not the lantern, the little
No,
park.
the planter.
Yeah,
The-
everything in there.
No, the whole
The whole scenario,
whole
the whole
section
little area.
next to the
So what
lantern.
you're saying is, one of the plans is to just take that out.
Well, one of the business owners would like to, well, the two business owners in that area have had issues with parking. I mean, just driving through Main Street, you can tell there is a problem with parking. People are parking now sideways behind that park, which allows a very narrow exit and egress. So I think they're rethinking how it could be. Some of the stonework is starting to deteriorate, and it's just never been working very well for parking in that little hamlet. So I think this is an opportunity to step back and to allow business owners who put a lot of effort and money into that downtown postage stamp to really start thinking about how they want to put their dumpsters, want to put the porta stand or eliminate the porta stand and the other items that are kind of making it difficult. Also, the relocation of that pole that's right in the middle of their parking lot has damaged so many cars, and it needs to be moved to a different location, right? It's just not in the right location for downtown revitalization. It just doesn't promote.
I think the other idea of that is that we can increase the number of trees and increase the amount of shade rather than just having them in the one raised planter. That would be the hope, and that the parking could be worked in around that. But I think it would make it much more pleasant in the center of Wassaic than having a big kind of bare parking lot and just this one little dot that has two trees in it. So that's, the hope is to make it better, not worse.
Well, that's part of history. That's what everybody's complaining about down there. You're taking history away from the little hamlet down there.
Are you talking about the history of the trees?
Yeah, the little
Those
island.
two trees? I don't
You
think
go
it's
right
been...
by it.
I don't think it's been there that long. I mean, I've been in...
You don't, huh?
No, how long has
It's been there
it been
quite
there?
a long time. I've been here 60 years, over 60 years. It's been there ever since.
And the raised planter has been here
it's-
60 years.
It's gotten different, yes, but it's always been there.
So I think this is a great conversation to have. Let the business owners
Well, I just
weigh
heard
in
about this,
before we-
that they want to do away with it because the business people want to come in.
I don't think
How
they
many
put it-
houses, how
they
many
haven't put it
how many
on
more
paper yet.
cars you're going to park there?
Oh,
by
I'd
taking-
say
You would think
could
a
do
lot?
better. Well, I don't know. I'm not an architect. I would leave that to the
Getting back to
business
the
owners.
vehicles, you can't get a fire apparatus down through there on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night.
No,
So
it's
that's
tough.
not because of that little island, that's because of the parking. There's no parking there.
There's
So
not
you got to
enough
address that
parking.
also.
Definitely not enough
I mean,
parking.
we got to go around the back side, and if there's a fire on Furnace Bank or something like that, we aren't going to get to. So we got to go all the way down through Steelworks and come around.
So, Donnie,
So I think there is a problem, and we should be looking at addressing.
Well, you
That,
know,
right?
I'm getting back to what's going to go on with that little park there. That's been there
I
for a
don't know.
long time.
Can I just say, for starters, thank you to you and your colleagues who have been maintaining that flagpole, the flag. I drove by the last time you guys were doing it
thank you.
last fall. And so, you know, I do appreciate there's been a lot of community effort to maintain that as well as the town. I personally have been trying to sort out who actually owns that
That was
parcel
my next question.
for years here. I mean, I don't know if it's town property or if it's Metro North property or if it belongs to someone else. It is thoroughly unclear to me, and I recognize that there's a history of the town maintaining the plantings there, and we do our tree lighting there, and you and the other folks at the fire company have been maintaining the flagpole, and for sure. But, you know, I think before, Vicki, we assign the enhancement committee or, you know, assign or to delegate to the business owners in the area, like, let's figure out who owns
I think
that.
we know who owns it, basically.
Who does?
Well, I believe that we looked into this when we did the lighting poles. So when we planted poles in that raised planter and along the route of the wrought iron fence, that is It's a no man's land. It was basically, it's just a part of the roadway, and the town maintains it. And I think as part of that grant, which was, which helped us install those lights, ascertained that the Metro North has a right-of-way and the town has a right-of-way that goes from probably the center 25 feet in, and same for the road. So, it's basically part of each way's right-of-way. But the town road, when they went back to the deeds, didn't see that it included that parking area. So we don't own it, I don't believe, outright, but it is part of our right-of-way.
The town's right
The town owns and should be maintaining it, but I don't think we're even plowing it right now. So now the business owners are plowing it. So it's a shared investment, but we do have a right-of-way. Every town road has a right-of-way that extends beyond the line.
Vicki, we just had this conversation 3 or 4 weeks ago as a town board, but I had, during the last snowstorm, had some of the folks who work at the post office complain that it wasn't plowed. And so I asked the question, whose responsibility is it to plow that? And this is unclear. I think the first step is to just sort out,
Who owns it?
The big problem for folks in Wassaic, and I heard this directly, was that those two trees disappeared kind of suddenly without, anybody really knowing what was going on.
Well, someone had to give the authority.
We gave them the authority,
No, that's what I'm saying.
absolutely.
It wasn't just done haphazardly.
Well, the big, I guess it was a maple or oak
Yes.
wood of there. I know the firemen had complained to me that it was shredding the flag.
Yeah, we replaced them like 3-4 times.
Yeah,
in a couple
so,
of years.
we had some of the branches cut off, and then
Yeah.
the tree basically died,
Yeah.
which is, why we brought it down, so, it protects the flag.
The other thing I'll say is that I recall, I could be wrong about this, but my recollection is that during the planning board application process for the green barns, which was relatively recently, 2 or 3 years ago, the planning board determined that in order for them to have their customers access the business, that lot was going to be the parking that those folks would use when. Now, if that isn't even town property and our planning board is, assigning that as designated parking for a business in that downtown, I just don't know. It should be more clear.
If we put grant funds into those lighting poles, we know who, I'm sure we didn't just put grant funds into somebody else's property. The town of Amenia has the right to maintain and to keep those lights and the investment going. I would find it hard to believe that there's another private owner. Other than the town of Amenia, and we should continue plowing and maintaining.
Was that it was Metro North property.
They have a right-of-way that goes out 25 feet from the wrought iron fence, out into that. So we have to ask permission anytime we do
do we have a
it.
lease from Metro North, or do we have a?
We probably did a lease, or no, we probably just had permission. You have to have a permit if you work within their right-of-way, and you have to have flagmen and all of that. We know what it takes to put a rail trail right alongside, and that's what you have to do when you're doing anything along their right-of-way, in their right-of-way.
I just completed my Metro North safety class for 2023 2 weeks ago. I'm aware of I just don't, because we've had these conversations about, is it our job to plow it? Is our job to pave it? We had talked with the highway super about putting some concrete parking barriers, if you recall. We
Yeah.
had that conversation about 6 months ago.
Yep.
So it would benefit us as a community and as a board just to get down to the bottom of it. And I would recommend we ask Ian to just look into the history of that particular lot.
See who owns it. That's what you have to start with. I mean, pretty basic. I just wanted to see what the status was, and again, you hear all sorts of things, and that was one of the issues. And it's a shame. I mean, it's been there for a long time. I mean, granted, you need the business and all that. I've been to the Lantern many times. It's very nice in there, but still, it's all part of the history of the town. So you're just going to wipe it away. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to be relocated? The flag and all that.
I don't know. I
So-
think that
Well, the idea
putting
is to
something on
sort of come up with a
paper
plan
is
that-
helpful.
But
Yeah,
nothing is happening right now.
yeah. We're just trying to plan.
Well, that's why I'm here, just to find out what's
Right.
going on, because now we got spring coming, you know, and I don't want to put a lot of flowers and plants around if it's going to be all dug up. It's at no cost to the town. I do that myself. A couple of us do it.
I don't think anybody's digging it up. I mean, I can't even believe we're grinding it down if we don't know we own that park. I mean, really?
But it looks like an eyesore now. You got to grind it out.
Yeah, but
Regardless.
We created the stump, so we should
So you got to take care of it.
take care of it.
All right, well, thank you for your time and information.
And just for your reassurance, whatever happens to that property, people are going to have to like talk about it and figure out what's happening. I don't think you have to worry about putting plants in this summer. Nothing is going to happen that quickly.
No, we just around the pole like we did last year, you know, just
Yeah,
to spruce
you don't
it
have
up
to
a
worry
little.
about them getting ripped out and the thing being torn
No, I
down,
hope
that's
not,
all.
because I water them every day.
No,
Gotta keep
so
track.
don't worry.
All right,
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So would the board like me to investigate that?
I
Yeah.
would.
Is there any other public comment? Town clerk report?
Good evening. For March of 2023, the local, state, and county share in the town clerk's office was $347.50, with $297.50 being remitted to the supervisor's office, bookkeeper. Total tax collection for our 2023 season, year-to-date, $6,383,211.12, with $6,043.63 in penalties. Total remaining uncollected to date as of this afternoon was $949,477.35. Just as a fun fact, number of parcels to date as of this afternoon was 1,861. Last year, this exact same date, I was 1,863. So tax collection is coming along, so I mean, we were in that process. Just as a friendly reminder to all of our residents, we are now in April. I will collect through May here at the local office. After that, you'll have to go out to 22 Market Street. So those that have any tax questions, please do not hesitate to give us a call here in the office. This evening, I know you guys went into executive session to conduct interviews. Were you guys ready to make any actions on that?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Rosanna Ham to the Board of Ethics.
Second.
I'm not sure which
Super.
term we want to do.
For the unexpired.
Unexpired.
Unexpired term that ends on 12/31/2024.
Not a problem. Supervisor Purdy?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revard?
Yes.
Also, I was contacted by Rebuild Together, Dutchess County. They are currently seeking part-time construction associates, so they're hiring. As we all know, that the Rebuilding Together program does help individuals here right in our very own community. But at this time, they are looking for, it says you must have your own tools and have reliable transportation. So, I mean, I think maybe tools more than a hammer and a screwdriver, so I don't think they're gonna hire me. But if there's anybody that's retired, has a construction knowledge, light carpentry, light electrical and plumbing and general masonry, this is gonna be hanging right here at the town hall when you first come in. It is definitely a great way of, you know, earning a little extra, but also giving back right here in your own community. So it's a great program and it's helped our neighbors. So if there's anyone that's interested in helping them, it's a great way to give back. And as we're giving a lot back here, we got Earth Day coming up. I know Councilwoman Doyle is going to talk a little bit more on this, but here at the Amenia Town Hall, April 22nd is Town Cleanup Day and our Earth Day celebration. This month is a busy month when it comes to good eats. April 16th, the Amenia Firehouse is having their final pancake breakfast of the season. That runs from 7:30 in the morning until 11 a.m. Then the following week, join the Wasake Fire Company on April 29th. They're having their spring vendor and craft fair. It's located at 27 Firehouse Road, right down in Wasake. We heard a lot about that little neck of the woods. And then save the date for May 13th. The Amenia Firehouse is going to be doing their chicken barbecue. So we got a lot of fun activities and spring actions going on here in Amenia. So if you have any questions, give us a call at the town clerk's office, area code 845-373-8860. We do have these flyers, and they're being sent up to the supervisor's office, so she can post them on, her staff can post them on our website.
Great.
And that'll conclude the town clerk's report for this evening.
Resolution number?
This evening, we're beginning with 47.
Resolution number 47, 2023, resolution adopting the 2023 Town of Amenia Emergency Operations Plan. Whereas pursuant to New York State Executive Law, Article 2B, the Town of Amenia is authorized to prepare a comprehensive emergency management plan to effectively handle potential disaster situations, whereas the purpose of an emergency management plan is to minimize the effects of any disaster or potential disaster, to provide for effective local responses when disasters occur, and facilitate local recovery. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia desires to adopt the Emergency Operations Plan in substantially the same form as Annex Tier 2, which has been revised to reflect the following. 1, recent personnel changes. 2, updated contact information and addresses. 3, the Emergency Operations Center has been redesignated to the Amenia Town Hall located at 4988 Route 22, Amenia, New York. And the alternate Emergency Operations Center will be the Amenia Firehouse, located at 36 Mechanic Street, Amenia, New York, or the Wassaic Firehouse, located at 27 Firehouse Road, Wassaic, New York. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, the recitation set forth above, or incorporating this resolution as it fully set and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby adopts a revised emergency operations plan in substantially the same form as Annex Tier 2. 3, the Town Board hereby authorizes and directs the supervisor and/or the town clerk to circulate the emergency operations plan to the Dutchess County Emergency Management Offices, to all departments and individuals designated within the plan. Go ahead.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Rebellard?
Yes.
Resolution amending Resolution Number 19 of 2023, accepting donation of funds. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, by Resolution Number 19 of 2023, accepted a donation in the amount of $277,000 from Tower Hill Roadway 123 LLC for the actual cost of the asphalt needed to pave the approximately 2-mile section of Tower Hill Road from the Town of Amenia / Town of Washington border to its intersection with Route 22, according to the specifications set forth by the town engineer and the town highway superintendent. Whereas due to unforeseen circumstances, the funds will no longer be coming from the entity Tower Hill Roadway 123 LLC, whereas a donation of the $277,000 will now be donated from an entity named Tower Hill Roadworks LLC, pursuant to the same terms and conditions. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia wishes to amend Resolution Number 19 of 2023 to reflect that the donation of funds will now be coming from the entity named Tower Hill Roadworks LLC, while all other terms and conditions set forth in Resolution Number 19 of 2023 remaining the same. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, the recitation above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby amends Resolutions Number 19 of 2023 to reflect that the donation of funds for the actual cost of the asphalt for the paving of Tower Hill Road from the Town of Amenia / Town of Washington border to its intersection with Route 22, according to the specifications set forth by the town engineer and the town highway superintendent, will now be donated by Tower Hill Roadworks LLC. 3, that all other terms and conditions of Resolution Number 19 of 2023 shall remain in effect, and I make that motion.
I'll second.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Resolution awarding contract for light bulb.
Oh, Victoria, could I just interrupt for a moment?
What?
No, I just wanted to let the people know who had come from DOH and DEC that they weren't compelled to stay for the rest of the meeting. You know,
We
just,
want to make sure if you guys had any questions or anything like that, but, you know,
Okay.
I think I can give somebody my card if necessary.
probably a good idea, but didn't want you to feel stuck.
Yeah, no.
Mercy rule.
Thanks, guys.
Sorry, Victoria.
Just on that topic, we don't need to make a motion to authorize you to fill out that application, do we?
No.
Great,
No, there's no cost to the town. Their service is free.
great. I'm happy to.
And if we're going to make this resolution, don't we need to know that we're doing this on town property?
Well, that is an interesting question. I don't imagine it would take Ian that
I
long
mean, I
to
think we
verify.
all know it's town property. It's restoring an existing light pole that was installed with community development block grant funds. So I don't think it's going onto someone else's property. However, I feel funny saying we're going to continue to do work
Vicki, I would say
in
that
that
this is...
right-of-way
this is
without knowing.
maintenance. This is maintenance of the Wassaic Lighting District, you know, and so whatever agreement that we had to put that light pole there in the first place probably included some maintenance obligation. I feel fine voting on this to
Okay.
make this happen.
This is just for the purchase of the pole, the highway super.
But we don't want to purchase a pole that we don't have a right to
Correct, and
install.
I
Right.
can't speak to the ownership. That certainly predates me, and I would have to do the research on that before I could answer that and advise the
Okay.
board.
But we are replacing a pole that
Was broken off.
was broken
Years
off and we
ago.
already paid for. It's a replacement, right?
I'm still curious to understand the ownership of the lot, but I think we should replace this light pole. It's broken.
It's
So-
not a light bulb, it's a pole.
Light pole, I said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Okay. All right, I can go ahead.
I'm fine.
Okay, resolution number 49 of 2023, resolution awarding contract for light pole replacement in Wassaic. Whereas the town of Amenia is seeking to replace a light pole located across from 10 Main Street in Wassaic, New York, which was previously damaged in a motor vehicle accident. Whereas the light pole consists of a 4-inch pole which tapers to a 3-inch diameter to fit the current 3-inch light top consistent with other lights located on Main Street. Whereas the town of Amenia Highway Superintendent requested written quotes from Wisconsin Lighting Lab, Green Mountain Electric, and Forthright LED Lighting. Whereas Wisconsin Lighting Lab was the only company that had the replacement pole necessary and was the only quote provided in the amount of $1,724, which is annexed here to, made a part hereof. Whereas the town of Amenia Highway Superintendent was unable to locate any other similar pole. Whereas the town of Amenia Highway Superintendent is recommending the town board authorize the purchase of the replacement light pole in accordance with the quote submitted by Wisconsin Lighting Lab. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, the recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the town board hereby approves and authorizes the town supervisor to purchase the light pole with required specification set forth above in the amount of $1,724 from Wisconsin Lighting Lab. 3, the funds for the purchase of the light pole will be paid from the Building CE Vintage Light Wassaic budget line number 162-204.01.126. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah.
It was damaged in a motor vehicle accident, the pole.
I'm sorry,
What?
what?
The pole was damaged in a motor vehicle accident?
It was banged into
Somebody
by a
banged
car.
into it. They bang
Yeah.
into stuff all the time down
And the
there.
problem, just because I
Well, I knew
had to
that.
talk to
But
Megan about
they
that,
banged into it with a vehicle.
the pole.
Some type of vehicle.
Only the pole was broken off, the light fixture at the top and the base were okay, so it's really just been a matter of finding.
I'm just
a hole
wondering
in the-
if there's an insurance claim here. I mean, I know
It's
it's
a
a while.
long time ago this was damaged.
Yeah.
We,
I
That is
see.
a good idea.
Oh, so
I
it's.
mean, not for this.
Not
but
for
I think
this.
we should be
For the
Yeah.
conscious
future.
of that.
For the future, at least.
and it's interesting that Megan says that she checked in with Metro North since we are on their property and in their right-of-way. So it sounds to me like they believe that those, Metro North told her anyway, it seems like they think it's on their property there.
Okay.
And they waived their fee.
Yeah. And I want to thank Leo for doing all of the research over years since he got
Well, that's
elected.
just because I'm slow, that isn't because it
When
was
he
that
was
much
elected, I said, can we please get this pole replaced? And he dug and found it and worked with Megan over the years to find what was left of it and to figure out what it would take to get the 7th pole back up. So thank you, Leo.
You're welcome.
Supervisor Prody,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
I'll volunteer for this fun one. Resolution number 50 of 2023, resolution authorizing settlement of tax certiorari proceeding commenced by Charlotte's Web LLC. Whereas there is now pending in Dutchess County Supreme Court a tax certiorari proceeding commenced in 2022 by Charlotte's Web LLC petitioner regarding property located in the town of Amenia, tax map number 132000-7266-00-130265-0000, also known as 143 Amenia Union Road, seeking a reduction and correction in the 2022 assessment for the respective tax roll. And whereas the town assessor did not recommend any reduction to the assessment for the subject property, and whereas the petitioner has agreed to discontinue the action with prejudice, and whereas the town assessor and the attorney to the town have recommended the filing of a stipulation discontinuing these tax review proceedings with prejudice in the form annexed here too. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the recitations set forth are incorporated into this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, that the town board of the town of Amenia hereby approves the filing of the stipulation of discontinuance with prejudice in the form annexed here too. 3, that the town supervisor, town assessor, and Ian C. Lindars of Stenger Diamond and Glass LLP, attorneys to the town of Amenia, are hereby authorized to take all actions necessary and appropriate to effectuate the terms of this resolution. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it because I have a question.
Okay.
Is Charlotte's Web LLC a business, or is that just the ownership of a residential property? Does anyone know where that?
I think it's a farm.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Supervisor Prody,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
Resolution 51 of 2023, resolution awarding contract to deepen and refurbish well number 5 within the town of Amenia Water District number 1, whereas well number 5, located within the town of Amenia Water District number 1, has been experiencing production issues, including very slow recharge rates during summer, slower than normal pump rates, and running dry through the summer months and in drought conditions. Whereas the town of Amenia water operator, SCPI Environmental Services, has inspected the well and recommends the well be drilled deeper and rehabilitated to increase overall production flow and to maintain water in the well. Whereas the town of Amenia water operator, SCBI, requested written quotes from Andrews Well Company, Mid-Hudson Pump, Reliable Pump and Well Services, LLC, Boyd Artesian Well Company Incorporated, and Claverack Well and Pump Service. Whereas written quotes were received from Boyd Artesian Well Company Incorporated and Claverack Well and Pump Service as set forth below. Boyd Artesian Well Company Incorporated, $47,750. Claverack Well and Pump Service, $21,640.42. Whereas Marco D'Antonio of SCBI, the water operator for the town of Amenia, has reviewed the quotes provided, has recommended Claverack Well and Pump Service as they are the lowest responsible quote received. They have the specific equipment necessary for this project, have excellent results from prior work performed. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia, pursuant to the recommendation of the town water operator, desires to award a contract to Claverack Well and Pump Service in the amount of $21,640.42 in accordance with the proposal annexed here too. Whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act and therefore not subject to review under seeker. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as it fully set forth and adopted herein. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes a contract to deepen and rehabilitate well number 5 to Claverack Well and Pump Service in the amount of $21,640.42. The Town Board hereby authorizes the Town Supervisor to execute a contract in accordance with the Claverack Well and Pump Service quote annexed here too. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes a payment for said services to be paid from Capital Reserve Fund budget line number 99509.06. The Town Supervisor is hereby directed to provide a copy of the contract signed by all parties to the Town Clerk, who shall maintain the same in her files. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. I have a question. I was just looking at, Marco, I was looking at this, the two estimates. And under hydrofrac, it's a huge difference in what the cost is. I'm just curious why.
Again, the size of our well is limited to who can do this. Boyd would have to actually purchase the necessary equipment to do this, so that's why his is quite a
Okay,
bit higher.
all right, that makes sense.
It's called packing material for that size well, so that size well is, it's unique.
Yeah.
When you start getting bigger wells, only very few companies can do this type of work.
All right,
So
thank you. for that.
Claverack has it. They're currently doing a project for us at Millbrook School. They have the equipment, and it's working out for them in their favor for purchasing that equipment, so.
Okay, thank you.
Ian, I have a general question. This is a maintenance task, this capital expenditure, but the resolution has the town of Amenia executing the contract. Shouldn't it be the special district itself executing this contract?
So this will be paid from the
Particular
come
line.
out of the
The funds come out of the special district,
correct, and these are
but we have to authorize the funds.
correct. The town's authorizing it, but it is from the water district that's going to be responsible for the cost. It's not a townwide charge, essentially.
Okay.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Replar?
Yes.
Resolution authorizing contract to commence lead and copper inventory. We're going to have to table this to the next meeting on the 20th, because we don't have the funds right now to start it.
I'm sorry, we don't have what, Victoria?
The funds.
The funds.
Can we also, I know we actually have a water committee now, which is great. Congratulations to and thank you to the 4 members who signed up. Can we also make sure that the water committee is, Marco, do you have something on the schedule with them to go through these?
They just received all this information,
Okay.
and Bill is in the process of setting up a meeting.
Great. Okay.
So, Bill's kind of rounding them up, and he's gotten a lot of information together for him.
Okay.
Can you remind me who the liaison is to the water committee?
Well, there isn't one.
There isn't one.
Yeah, I guess we didn't
Any- who
establish one
wants to
because it's a new
volunteer?
district.
Well, there isn't one because there wasn't a water committee.
Does anybody
I'm
live in the
happy to
district?
volunteer.
Nobody lives in the
I don't
district.
think anybody lives in the district. Honorary liaison, Don?
No?
I'm happy to volunteer. I'm also
Good way to
happy
good way to get out of being a
prefer-
liaison.
No, Damien,
Well-
but I sound like you want to.
appreciate
You
that.
want
I
to.
appreciate that very much, Damien. I would be very happy for that.
There we
to
go.
happen.
Damien said yes?
Yes.
So you guys are appointing him? Is that a motion? Did I hear a motion?
I'll make a
that-
motion
Yeah,
that-
make a motion
to
to
appoint
appoint Damian
Damian-
Gutierrez
God,
to-
everybody's
as
saying it at once,
liaison to
Damian.
the Water Committee. There is second?
Second.
Oh,
Was that you?
That was
I'll give
me.
you. Okay, thanks, Mara. Sorry, Damien. Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Revillard?
Yes.
Blackman?
yes.
Damien? Monday? Save it. It's a meeting.
I don't have my email yet, so I can't. That's a joke.
Let me forward it.
Thanks.
Resolution authorizing contract to conduct well testing and environmental inspection, resolution number 52. If we're tabling one, does it have to be,
We never even read the name of it. Nobody even knows.
what,
So no.
Dawn?
No.
She did read the
Did
name.
did she read the name?
She read the name.
So then it's 53.
Wait.
So this
50
one would be 53, the one we tabled is 52,
52.
right?
We're tabling this one too.
No, we're not.
I'm so confused.
We're only tabling one.
Only 52 is tabled.
Okay.
Resolution authorizing contract to conduct well testing and environmental inspection, whereas the town board of the town of Amenia, on behalf of Amenia Water District Number 1, seeking to purchase a particular parcel of land to drill new wells and to construct needed infrastructure for the water district. Whereas the current water distribution system has 2 wells, a water tower, and a pump house located at Lavelle Road, which are all reaching their end of life and in need of replacement. Whereas the town board has determined that it's necessary to find a new location immediately that can support new wells and associated infrastructure for the water district. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia has identified a particular parcel, would like to evaluate the potential of the property to provide a potable source of water for the water district. Whereas prior to commencing further negotiations for the particular parcel, it is prudent for the town to conduct an environmental site assessment and well testing to determine if there is any contamination present, and if the site is a suitable source of water for the water district. Whereas SCBI Environmental Services has the professional knowledge to conduct the environmental site assessment and well water testing necessary. Whereas the town board of the town of Amenia has determined it is necessary to conduct a Phase 1 and limited Phase 2 environmental inspection with additional pump testing to determine the potential well yields and potability of potential wells located at the site. Whereas SCBI Environmental Services has submitted a proposal for conducting the necessary testing in the amount of $69,630.25, which is annexed here to made a part hereof. Whereas the environmental testing service is to be provided by SCBI Environmental Services to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from the bidding requirements under General Municipal Law, Section 103, and the town of Amenia's procurement policy. Whereas this is a Type 2 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, therefore not subject to review under seeker. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth above are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. The town board of the town of Amenia hereby authorizes SCBI Environmental Services to conduct the necessary testing in accordance with the proposal annexed here to, and in an amount not to exceed $69,630.25. The town board hereby authorizes a supervisor of the town of Amenia to execute the contract and any other documentation necessary upon review and approval of the attorney to the town in accordance with the SCBI Environmental Services proposal annexed here to. The funds for conducting of the necessary testing by SCBI Environmental Services will be paid from the Federal Aid Capital Projects budget line number 4991.06 and Source Power Pump CE budget line number 83204.06. This resolution shall take effect immediately. Is there a motion?
All motion?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
That has been specifically left out so as not to affect any negotiation on that property. It's to protect the town.
You'll know on Monday.
Could you please stop talking from the audience? We're in the middle of a vote here. Go ahead, Dawn.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Revelard.
I'm going to abstain on this one.
Resolution 54. And please stop talking. Resolution authorizing application for the Foundation for Community Health Cultivating Health Grant Program. Whereas the Foundation for Community Health works together with people and organizations to improve the health and well-being of residents within their communities, especially those that have historically been under-resourced. Whereas FCH is offering the Cultivating Health Grant Program, which is seeking to improve community health infrastructure that has the potential to improve health outcomes, including initiatives related to housing. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia is actively seeking to expand its affordable housing initiatives, including its efforts to purchase property to be used for affordable housing. Whereas the Cultivating Health Grant application has no deadline for submission, does not require any reimbursement or matching by the town, and does not preclude the town from applying for other future FCH funds or grants. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia has determined it would be in the best interest of the town to authorize Charlie Miller, the Amenia Housing Board, to draft the application for this grant in the amount of $15,000 to be reviewed and approved by the town supervisor. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations above set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes Charlie Miller to draft the application for the Cultivating Health Grant in the amount of $15,000, which shall be reviewed and approved by the supervisor prior to its submission.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
Okay, other matters, we have a waiver to be used for the Amenia Sporting Goods Swap Program to be held on Earth Day. That was submitted to the town board. And if everybody is in agreement with the waiver, I'd like to make a motion to accept the waiver of liability to be signed by anyone getting sporting goods during the swap program.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Blackman,
Yes.
Revelard.
Yes.
And the recreation director is advertising for summer camp personnel, and I'd like to make a motion to authorize the recreation director to advertise for summer day camp, 6 camp counselors, 1 camp supervisor, and 1 camp nurse.
I'll make that motion.
Second, discussion. Maybe I'm not remembering the titles of the jobs here, but was there a conversation early on when we hired Katie that she was going to serve in the camp supervisor role, or am I not?
She is.
Okay, got it.
She-
But we're sorry.
But the camp supervisor, she is actually going to be summer camp director.
Okay,
The camp supervisor does the day-to-day, would be like her assistant.
Got it. Okay, it's a different role. I just
Yes.
was,
Yeah, it's a completely different
so
role.
why are we advertising for,
Yeah, she, in addition to being recreation director, she is also the summer camp director.
yep, okay, that's what, thank you.
Supervisor Prodi?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Mayor Millard?
Yes.
Town board comments?
Did you, I'm sorry, before you do that, this was also in other matters. Do you want to talk about that? Or no?
Oh, that was just for your information.
Okay.
I could go ahead and read it, though. I received a
Well-
letter from Dutchess County that said, "Dear Supervisor Perotti, the town of Amenia is contingently awarded $150,000 under the 2023 Community Development Block Grant Program to purchase a single-family home at 74 Lake Amenia Road, Amenia, New York, 12501, to be used as affordable housing. However, the award is contingent on the following. One, the town indicated they are using American Rescue Plan funds. Under the new guidance, Treasury will presume that an investment in the development, repair, or operation of any affordable rental housing unit is an eligible use of recovery funds if the unit has a limited maximum income of 65% of the area median income as imposed through a covenant land use restriction agreement or other enforceable legal requirements for a period of at least 20 years. Therefore, the rent cannot exceed 65% AMI maximum rent, and the pro forma will need to be updated accordingly. 2, remediation of housing quality standards deficiencies as noticed on the attached housing quality standard deficiency list, 74 Lake Amenia Road, including lead-based paint and asbestos risk assessment and completion of the remediation as recommended by a licensed lead-based paint and asbestos licensed professional. 3, subdivision of the property, dividing the portion of the property to be used for affordable housing from the land that is proposed for use as the wastewater treatment facility before or along with the purchase and closing of the property. And then we ask that you obtain town board approval to accept the grant funding with contingencies. And it's from Ian Rafter, Commissioner.
So we'll do a resolution at the next meeting for this?
Well, it depends. We need to have a discussion about the contingencies, which are going to be a different cost.
Okay, well, let me back up for the people listening at home. The piece of property that we're interested in is a property that has an existing historic house on it, which could be converted into, which will be converted into affordable housing. And the piece of property will be subdivided, and the rest of it was the site that the wastewater committee had recommended as the only one of 16 sites that they had looked at that actually would work for a septic system, for a wastewater treatment system. So it's sort of remarkable in that the Housing Board has pursued this. Charlie Miller in particular has pursued this and written the applications, and the town board has approved the match, so we're actually, we hope, going to be able to purchase this property now. There are conditions, but I think all of them we were aware of, meaning the Housing Board. And yeah, that's it. Just it's sort of exciting that we got this grant, and that this will presumably be our first unit of affordable housing in town.
So do we want to have a discussion at the next meeting, or do we want to have a discussion about this now? I'm not sure if everybody's had this information.
No, I just got the letter.
So you
So
want to talk about it next time?
Yeah. Because there's a substantial list
I
of
would just because
contingencies.
Charlie's here. Charlie, I'd love to know if there I'm sure this is aligned with Hudson River Housing, but just their limited maximum income, 65% of the area median income, just assuming that's within the HRH target for their leasing structure. On the second item, the remediation of the conditions, the county included a list of 21 items from the site visit, work items that require remedy prior to occupancy according to housing quality standards. So I don't know how we would want to best understand the costs associated with doing those steps, but we should try to understand what those costs would be. And I don't understand technically, I don't understand the subdivision requirement that it be subdivided prior to or as part of the sale. If prior to, then the existing owner would have to do it. They'd have to incur that cost and all that. But if it was done along with the purchase, and I'm not a real estate person or a lawyer here, so there's plenty of those in the room. Can you purchase a property and receive that property in a subdivided state? I'm not really sure what the county is asking for here, so,
Well,
question.
the county needs to follow HUD requirements.
Right, but that third bullet says that they will only give us this grant if the property is subdivided before we buy it, which would mean that the current owner would have to subdivide it, or along with the purchase. And along with is the part I don't understand. You have,
I would agree with you on that.
Oh,
I'm not,
okay.
along with is it still implies before. I mean, it seems like they're placing the responsibility, or they're requesting the responsibility that it is subdivided before, but we could also contact the county and get some clarification as to what they're looking for on that.
can we do
It's
that
something
before the
we could
next
do.
meeting, so we could have a
Sure.
educated discussion about that? And how do we want to estimate the cost for bullet number 2?
I know there
So
was
may I?
Yeah.
Please, I was going to.
So our development budget already assumed all of those items. None of them are very extensive whatsoever. So we already had a budget for that. The $15,000 that you approved for the grant application through the Foundation for Community Health will also go to fund that as well. So that's an additional funding. So I can go through it, I can get a contractor to give us a quote on that, but we had already assumed that we would have to do some minor repairs throughout the house.
But the lead-based paint and asbestos risk assessment would be
Yeah, so the there is-
most expensive thing, I would think.
Well, so typical to these types of homes, there is a very small amount, maybe it's 6 feet of asbestos insulation around a pipe in the basement. The remediation of that is relatively inexpensive, truthfully.
Charlie,
the-
I disagree with you on that.
I'm sorry.
I disagree with you on that.
I have it done all the time,
Yeah,
so.
I see it a lot, so.
No, don't talk from down there.
So. We can get a quote on it. Again, it's like just getting access to the house and doing that. So the lead-based paint, first we just test the paint on the outside of the house, and the remediation of that is generally.
It isn't just the outside.
Yes.
Plank floors are also painted.
First, Victoria.
I know, but the lead remediation also has to be
No, I know, but you didn't
on the
give him a chance to
inside.
talk about the inside.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just going through the list that came from the Dutchess County from their assessment of the house, which was the lead-based paint would be tested. And that will be inside and outside the house. But the only place that is apparent that there is chipping in the house of paint is on the exterior of the house. And so with the third point, which is about subdividing, I actually suggest that we go back to the county and say that although that parcel was identified as a place for possibly putting wastewater, we do not even have a wastewater district, much less, the next step of using it. And so that's quite premature, in our opinion, to subdivide.
It would also preclude us using the rest of that site for additional housing.
I just
So
think it's just not a step that we're on. So,
Right.
I mean, although, yes, it is a place where we would like to, we've identified it, But what we have applied for this money now is for affordable housing.
Right, but it isn't in their best interest to have us subdivide it because it limits the use of the rest of the property. It prevents it from being used for housing, presumably.
Regardless, I just don't think it's a
Regardless,
step we're on,
Okay.
you know.
I've noted both of those points, and I'll convey them to the county when I talk to them.
Yeah. So, and although these funds are contingent, I mean, our whole proposal was that we would be using these funds to do the development work at the site. So I'd like to clarify with the county as well that clearly we would be doing this, but we can't do any remediation, we can't do, you know, any of this work until we actually own the parcel. And since a portion of their funds goes to the purchase of it, that should just be clarified.
Yeah, I mean, I could be, well, maybe I'm misunderstanding their intent with this letter, but they might just be saying, we'll happily give you $150,000 after you, the town, have bought the parcel and then attended to all these items. And then, and only then, we'll give you the $150,000.
Right, but I think that that's where we have to go back and clarify with them, because the whole application was using the, you know, a portion of that 150,000 for the acquisition of it.
Right.
And then another portion of it for the update of the house. You know, I think that it just needs to be, the contingency should have to be cured or satisfied some point after the acquisition of the property, which would be typical.
Okay,
I
so we'll have this discussion on the agenda at the next meeting?
Oh,
then?
we sure will.
Okay.
But can we ask that either, you know, I can work with Ian, but that we go back to the county to confirm that? Because we have given the parcel owner a timeline that by the end of March, which we're at the beginning of April, that's fine, that we would be able to, you know, provide an offer for them. And our offer was contingent on us getting these funds. And it seems like we have gotten them, but we need to confirm these elements.
Who's doing the offer?
Well, the board needs to authorize somebody to present an offer. And we know that 275 is our offer. I mean, it's pretty firm, that's what it is, you know, and then there's a couple other deal points, but.
Well, Charlie's been in contact with the owner from the beginning, so presumably he would continue to talk to them, but the board has to decide on the amount, or confirm the amount. In terms of the owner, when is he expecting to get a response?
Well, now. No, it was the end of March. Our idea that we would be informed about this grant by the end of March, which in a way we were. I mean, it's the beginning of April, you know, a couple of days. So.
I would suggest reaching out to the county, getting the answers that the board's looking for on these particular items. This way the board would have a more informed idea as to what the requirements from the county would be. And I can contact them, and I'll do it as fast as I can. And what I'll do is I can send a memo out to the board so the board can get an idea what the county response is on these. And if the board authorizes, I can work with Charlie, and we can try to get whatever clarification I would need from the county on it.
Yeah.
Charlie, do you have somebody in mind for the estimate for the asbestos removal?
I don't, but if you have
Yeah.
recommendations,
Okay.
you know, send them to us.
Okay, great, so we'll have that conversation at the next meeting then.
And thanks for getting us to this point.
So then the next action item is that I'll converse with Ian, but Ian will reach out to the county to confirm these 3 points as we see them, correct? And then we'll come back. Okay. Can I quickly give a committee meeting update if we're in other matters? Can I do that? 2 minutes?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So the wastewater committee met tonight, and we reviewed 2 proposals that we have for map plan and report, which is the next phase. The committee is actually going to meet again next Thursday, and we'll be able to vote on a recommendation to the board for that. The payment for those services has already been incorporated in the 2023 town budget, so and both of the proposals fell in line with what was budgeted for. The wastewater committee is going to start a door knocking campaign along Railroad Avenue and Lake Amenia Road. Both of those stretches are not in the current proposed district, but we have had a number of people who live on those roads to say that they would like to be included. So we want to reach out to everyone there to see, to first give them an overview of what the wastewater project is and to gauge their interest. We'll be knocking on Dawn's door. We're developing a spring outreach plan. I know that people in the proposed districts might not have heard from us in a little while. It's not that we haven't been doing anything, it's just, it's been cold. So we are going to have probably more door knocking and some additional forums. We have an open position on the wastewater committee, so anybody out there in TV land, if you want to be, or if you know somebody who would be interested in joining our committee, that would be great. We have one meeting a month. It's on Thursdays, the second Thursday of every month at 6 o'clock. It's pretty easy to get into. Let's see, so that's the wastewater committee. The housing board, so we're really excited that we contingently received this $150,000 community block grant from Dutchess County. I mean, it's really amazing. If we could actually deliver a rental unit of affordable housing in Amenia, it would be great. Let's see, we discussed next steps about that. The board tonight, if people weren't listening, authorized the application for a $15,000 grant, which would also go to help that process of housing. We're working with the library now about bringing Millerton, during their housing expo, put together an installation, which is really great. And so we're hoping to be able to bring that installation to the library over a course of maybe a week or two, and to also have an event around that. It's panels that shows a lot of different type of workforce / affordable housing, and gives people sort of a sense of what it looks like, how it's made and created. And lastly, we also have a position open on that committee, or that board rather. So if anybody would like to join the housing board, it would be really great. So if you know of anybody or you yourself want to meet, that board meets the fourth Thursday of every month at 6 o'clock. And then you can just walk on in here and be at the town board meeting afterwards. So, yeah. Thank you.
Charlie, did you say there's another meeting next Thursday?
Yes. I'm sorry, for you guys who left early.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll send out an email, but we just wanted to review the two proposals. We want to go back and ask a question, which I'm going to do tomorrow to them. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to do your report, Vicki?
Sure. I submitted a report to the town board members and the town clerk, and I'll just go over it briefly. Enhancement Committee meeting is on Wednesday, April 12th at 6:30 p.m. at Great Cape Bakery. CAC meeting is Wednesday, April 19th, 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. And as Dawn Marie mentioned earlier, we're having an Earth Day. Our annual cleanup day is Saturday, April 22nd from 9 until noon. And you can pick up free contractor bags for your cleanup work on Friday, Friday prior. I'll be here at Town Hall from 5 to 6. Sounds like some community groups really want to get a jump on things, so I'll be here to give those out. Also, the next morning at 9 o'clock, there'll be bags available both at Fountain Square, where the Enhancement Committee is helping to distribute out bags there, and the CAC, Conservation Advisory Council, is going to be down in Borden Park providing bags there. If you can sign in and let us know where you're working, that helps. We already have Yellow City Road and Sharon Station Road and other town roads that are being done by little neighborhood groups, which are great. But the focus is really to try and get the hamlets tidied up in Amenia and Wassaic, and you can radiate out from there. Or there are also groups that have, they have adopted sections of the highway, so 343 and Route 44 and 22 are both going to be handled by groups that do that kind of work. But you can join those efforts or do your own road, that's fine. If you have large objects, and I'm already getting calls for, tires and TVs and couches and such, I'll have a utility trailer, and you can call my number and let me know ahead of time, ideally, or that day of, where to go by and pick it up. We'd have Welsh Sanitation is going to take our transfer items for free, only up to the 3 tires that I've already reserved. They don't take any more tires. So, but I can take other items up to the transfer station, but it has to be done by noon, and I have to get there by 1 o'clock. So make sure you call me, 845-489-7826, and you can arrange ahead of time where you're going to park your big items, or where I can find them, and I'll drive around and pick them up that day. And then from noon to 4 p.m., you can come to the town hall. There'll be a repair cafe where you can repair clothing or other items. We have 4 vendors. You can sharpen your knives. You can pick up sporting goods. There's going to be a sporting goods swap, so if you have items other than helmets, which are problematic, you can bring them to the town hall ahead of time. And you can also trade for new items if you sign a waiver. There'll be door prizes and a composting demonstration, and the door prize will be a composting system. There'll be a demonstration of that and organizational booths as well. On Monday, I toured Brenna Robinson, Choice Words grant writer for the town. I took her around Amenia to visit municipal sites, you know, the water district, the highway garage, all the big ticket items that this town is facing. I tried to give her a sense of the lay of the land and very quick overview of the needs of wastewater, water, highway, new highway garage, old highway garage. And she already has some great ideas for the town of Amenia, and she will follow up with her recommendations. I had an idea that Stoneleaf Construction, they're using 11 of our parking spaces. If we could just have them put a little sticker on their window, it would be very, very easy and clear to see that each car in the 11 spots that we're going to have designated for them are in fact being inhabited by Stoneleaf construction staff, and vice versa, that the rest of the parking space is being inhabited by other people who are here to use town facilities. That's my recommendation. I had a mock-up. It's just a semi-permanent, something like you do on your motor vehicle, you know, inspection stickers. You can get it off with a razor blade, but it doesn't require them to put a hanger on their rear view mirror every time they pull into the parking lot. I can see already it's 8 o'clock, the 11 spaces are full. The question is, where is the little hanger? Is it, you know, is it under the car seat? Where is it? And it's 8 o'clock. Are you going to drive over to downtown Amenia and park somewhere else, or are you just going to, oops, forget to put your hanger on? So that's my sincere recommendation. We do not have a lot of staff here at Town Hall to do enforcement. It's quick and easy and clear, very cheap. You can just put it on, and 11 cars are in there with their sticker, and we can help them make sure that they have their spaces done, you know, occupied by the right people, and we know the rest of the parking spaces are available for town use. That's, I also wanted to say that I plan to apply for the Berkshire Taconic Community Foundation's Northeast Dutchess Fund for $3,700, again, for the free performing arts program that we've held every year in the fall for students aged from 3rd grade until high school.
When is that due?
That is due April 22nd,
Okay.
Earth Day. And
It's going to be very busy this month, Vicki.
it's been a busy month. I did go, it's petitioning season, so I went door to door to a lot of doors to get my signatures for running for office in the fall. And one of the issues that I got from several people is that they read in the paper about these meetings. This one was particularly interested in that Recreation Town Board special meeting we had to elicit interest and ideas from the stakeholders who live in Wassaic and that area. And she reads about it afterwards, but she can't find those notices on our town website. Other people say, I really want to know what committee openings are available, but I can't, where do I look? So it's not necessarily, I looked on our calendar, I don't see a lot of population on our town website calendar. Is that the place where a resident would look and be able to see a wide array of these meetings and such? Or is it just a flyer here and there and it's kind of, it doesn't feel like people have a good sense of how they can participate, and when they're frustrated because they read about it beautifully afterwards, it sounds really interesting, but it's over. So I just want to share that. I also wanted to say that I thought that you were going to, Ian, look into Pat Nelligan's request. He had a question about the water district. We just appointed him onto the water district, and he had a very specific question about our code that involves the water district. I don't recall all of his very specific questions, but he had them written out, but I don't think they were circulated. I don't think I got it by email, so I can't help you. I think, Dawn Marie, you were going to forward that to him?
Yeah, and it was the piece of paper that was handed to each of you during the meeting when he walked in?
So
Is that
we
what we're
have the physical
referencing?
paper, but we don't
Yes.
have,
Well, because he handed it to you during
Well,
executive
some of the
session.
questions were rhetorical, like, why do we have a water district?
well, some of his questions were more specific and I thought had merit. And one of them was, our law seemed to, somewhere he was quoting that we have a requirement that the water district people are residents of the water district. Is that true or not? And he also questioned Marco and whether or not he would be part of those meetings, committee meetings, or not. There were questions that I thought were valid and deserved an answer. He wrote them out, and none of us could answer some of the questions right then and there.
So a couple
I
things.
don't, and I'm not remembering all the questions, I'm sorry.
A couple things. First, as to the application for the grant, I think there should be a motion from the town board authorizing you to make the application.
Okay.
I think that should be made. If you want to start there, and then I'll address the other items too.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Soteras,
Yes.
Watson, Revlard.
Yes.
And as to those comments, I would receive 2 comments or 2 letters, I'll say, from Dawn, and I would suggest that we go into an executive session to discuss those particular matters.
Oh, well, then I think we should. We should,
But you're not prepared to do that now? are you?
No, we can go in executive session and talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now?
Well, I have two
The
more.
end of the meeting.
he
I
has
have
a-
2 actual comments before we do that. Well, 2.5. Vicki, I also got have received more than one complaint from a constituent about not knowing what's happening at what meetings. And I know that when I was on the planning board that we didn't get an agenda. We didn't get an agenda until typically a day or 2 before. And I don't know whether whether the agenda gets posted on the website, but certainly people were saying that they'd like to.
Board agenda?
I'm sorry?
The town board agenda?
No, for the planning board and the zoning board. In other words, people don't know what the issues are that are going to be discussed. And so if there's a way to do that, people thought they would, be more likely to attend.
The secretary of the planning board is an administrator on the website, so she
Okay.
can post some.
All right, I will do that. Thank you.
And I think she usually does.
Great. I'll double check that.
We'll just have to make sure everybody knows where to
Where to
find
look.
out.
Okay, great. The other 2 things were Victoria didn't do her report, but I was at a meeting with her this week where the Labella, the engineers for the highway garage, said that they were done with the preliminary site plan and building plan, and that they would start on their report to the town board And I think Victoria was at 18 May that they said they could present.
Yeah, May 18th.
Yeah. So anyway, just wanted to let you know because that's good news.
Leo, Victoria, I had a question on that. So what exactly are they going to present? Their plan to us before they go out for pricing or post going out?
No,
But
they're
that-
going to.
Their concept.
Right, it's the feasibility study, so they were gonna show the concept and their estimate of.
We're not
license
ready to go
costs.
out for a bid for
Okay.
anything yet.
All right, so we'll be able to have.
We're nowhere near that, yeah. It
One
was-
of the very simple things that I thought might be an opportunity was to put solar panels on that building, which I didn't see in the current plan. I saw propane heat as well instead of something that might be more efficient, like a heat pump. In my day job, we have a lot of operations facilities around the country. I'd say that like 70% of our new trucks are electric now, just our pickup trucks and our, truck vans and stuff like that. So not knowing how the equipment is going to be procured in the future, but, just the heat alone could basically be free on a building.
I did mention both those things with the engineers. They were concerned that the site is sort of awkward, both in terms of the topography and the width, and felt that it was hard to rotate the building so that the panels would face due south, well, that the roof would face due south. And you're right, the panels should have been included, and they weren't. The other thing is that the electric, they said that the amount of power brought in would be adequate to use for charging the vehicles. I don't know specifically what that needs to be.
The roof
but-
doesn't need to face due south. You could still that's a big roof.
Oh, no,
You
I
can
mean,
make a lot of power.
yes, and it isn't far from south, it's just not due south.
My personal situation is my heat for my house is basically free because
Uh-huh.
I make the electricity on the roof and then I make the heat with the heat pump. It's most new build. California I think is requiring all new construction to have both solar and then some sort of form of electric HVAC. But anyways, it'd be great to talk to them about that, especially if you've already started that
Well,
conversation.
Victoria, do you have any objection to my calling them and asking them to include the price of solar panels in their
No, go ahead.
report? Okay, I'll do that then.
And the salt shed looks very small. Is it going to be an area that they can mix salt out of the?
Yes.
It's 50 feet square, so it's not that small. I mean,
Okay. You can
it
get a
actually is
truck in
about
there.
the size of the current highway garage.
Okay.
I think the current highway garage is 40 by 40, so it's, bigger than that. Megan seemed happy with the layout. We talked about where the other materials could be stored because the engineers hadn't shown that on the property, and we both gave them some direction as to how they might do that. They were going to correct that. And also the location of the salt shed too, because it wasn't the most convenient for delivering the salt. So she made a recommendation and they're going to change that. So I totally agree, with all those comments that it's important for the board to see it, and that's why I hope that May 18th there'll be enough information to discuss it. Okay, the second thing was, this is a little out of left field, but I got a call from Christine Sargent, the director of the Northeast Community Center, saying that they were considering developing a satellite office, and they wondered if we might be able to rent or provide them space in town hall, which I don't have any idea what that means, and I was away, so I called her to say it would be really helpful to know what that requires, in terms of space and people and what services they could provide, but it seemed like, in general, a good idea, because a lot of people from Amenia do go up to Millerton to get these services.
I don't think we have the space to do that.
Well, isn't the room that the rec committee, rec director just went into big enough for a second desk, if that was all it took? There's also the art room downstairs that it seems like no one uses in the basement. But anyway, I'll find out from her what she's actually thinking about, and then I'll report back to the board so you have some idea of what she's asking. because I have no idea what that would be.
Yeah, can you find out also what hours they, because we sort of have a little bit of an ad hoc
Right.
access
Yep.
situation here.
Just a quick comment, because I've now heard 3 town board members in the last year make comment about the website. Some of you are very involved, while others weren't even on the board yet. I think that you guys want to actually sit there, look at it, and make recommendations as to what your changes are.
Okay.
Because you guys hear me as frustrated as I am, I don't like our website at all. I like our old website. It was a matter of color. If we would have changed the green to white, you guys probably would have loved it. You know, I've made a presentation about on the calendar where the meetings are. If you had a CAC meeting, you put the agenda there. Or if you have planning, we put the agenda and all the content there. That's been a task that hasn't been able to follow through. Leo, you're absolutely right. All of the agendas are not there. Not all of the staff that may have gone to training is actually utilizing it and doing it. Annette and Nancy do put the items on that we send to them.
Right.
But unfortunately, the way that the columns are set up and the way it was been described to me, even when I was out there, because I did not like the training personally, the information just gets so out of categories. So, you know, you don't know if it's a town event or a community event. I mean, we're all the town, I get it, but sometimes I feel like all we're doing is advertising firehouse stuff or other people's stuff. And really trying to keep the legal items and our public notices, and then, you know, are technically separate from our agendas, because after you do your reorg and you've announced them, you don't have to send those announcements out once. You only have to announce it at the beginning of the year what your set schedule is. It's when you're having additional meetings and changes, but we try to communicate with all of our residents. We all know open, meeting law. We got to get the items out there. It's not just the agendas. We're also supposed to have these resolutions made available.
Right.
But we don't have the placement on our website. So all of the resolutions you guys read tonight should have already been placed on the website as drafts. And we don't do that. I think that
And I know the committee chairs don't always get, well, I don't think they get agendas necessarily decided quickly enough that they
or they
can
do, and
post.
they make 15 changes before the end of the day.
Yes.
There's a lot of versions. We also don't get all the committee minutes. So when I received a recent inquiry looking for minutes, well, they're not on there because we don't get them. So I think it's a process that all of us together have to work together. And when I started off last year, and I joke with you guys as liaisons, you guys are attending the meetings best, where you're coming back and, giving synopsis of what happened at those meetings, but there's only a handful of committees that are really, really good about getting us their minutes. So we're trying to get all that information out there, but it's a true team effort, so it's something that we all can work together. But look at the website, and maybe we can present to the county if, maybe some little tweaking or different categories or different drop-down boxes or something we can do. Because if I have another council member come in and say, we don't like the website, what have you done to help make the improvements? We have to come up with a solution.
I'll look at that before our next meeting.
Thank you. Well, because I don't know what to do. You guys paid the county to redo our website.
Well, I didn't, personally.
So the town did. So what can we do to make the changes? If you guys want to see a change, present a recommendation of a change. Stop telling us it's not user-friendly.
Yeah, because they'll work with us,
I
Yeah,
think
they
that
will work with us to make changes. I will also say that
because
the
Damien works on it.
easiest way to find something on the website is to just type in what you're looking for into the search box.
But even the pictures, I got you guys one of those cool pictures, but it's, if you take it on your phone, look how far down you have to go to even get something. It's not really.
I don't think the pictures are the super most critical part.
No, but if you,
I don't either.
but you look at your screen,
Yeah,
75% of the screen is a picture where you have to scroll down before you even get to content.
yeah,
They just want to sign on and get content.
totally agree. That's easy feedback to give to the county to change that homepage template
Oh, yeah.
or
All
whatever.
right,
So
but you're saying that the board should
I knew-
take some
I-
ownership of that in terms of looking
Yeah.
at it?
Yeah.
And thinking about fixes?
Talk to your liaison, like you guys liaison, what committees? I mean, we know specifically because the individual that wanted it reached out to several of us. And I just took the time to sit there and guide it because I knew how to get to it, but it's a team effort. we all have to take ownership on it. We're all sitting here.
I'm just reporting back from what people say. I am not a web master, I'm not a web professional. I don't know how other towns are going to do that. I am bringing back this information to the town board, to whoever is managing it, to whoever committee is not putting it on the calendar. People are frustrated. They want to help, they want to get involved, they don't know how, because they can't find the information until it's after it's done. And minutes are great, but that's afterwards. They want to know what's coming up.
So
Someone
look at-
else had suggested a signboard in front of Town Hall, but I mean, there's so many things going on a daily basis that I think that would make anyone crazy to try to maintain that, so.
I don't
We
know,
should
we've
start
asked
with
for
our
that.
own calendar and at least get our stuff on the calendar. That would be a one-stop shop. Oh, there's planning board, oh, there's recreation, oh, there's line dancing, oh, there's enhancement, oh, there's a, there was nothing on the calendar for April practically, so I added the CAC and the enhancement. But it would be nice, let's just say, if we could just have somebody in the supervisor's office, like Nancy, say, and all the committees just forward their information to them, and she gets it all on there, and have one-stop shop that does it in a consistent way.
Well, she puts on what she gets, but she doesn't
getting
have a
it.
crystal ball.
Right.
I mean, technically, under the open meetings law, these things should all be posted ahead of time anyways. There should be agendas posted, and they should be open to the public before the meetings occur. So in order to be in compliance, they should be forwarding them.
Okay. Well, I guess
It's a project.
a
It's a
project.
project.
Are there any other town board comments? If not, I make a motion to adjourn.
Didn't you want to go into executive session,
Yeah.
Victoria?
You wanted to go into executive session
I
now?
thought-
That was the recommendation from,
Ian said he was ready. I thought-
Okay, well, I make
I
a...
would
mo-
make a motion to go into executive session for legal advice with regards to two items. One, the comments that we received, as well as the striping of the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay.
second. I'll make that motion.
You make it,
Yes.
Damian.
Marco, did you have?
I'll second.
Leo. Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman? Grabler?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's 9.
Yep.